I'm testing the cheapest router I could find on Amazon to find out, is this a good option for those on a budget or a beginner? Let's go. Now this router is the cheapest I could find that included both a plunge base and a fixed base. And then it also has an edge guide and some other niceties to have in a router package. This is made by Vevor. Their motto is tough tools, half price. We'll find out. I'm gonna put this router through the paces. We're gonna use it for regular standard, what we would use it for in a wood shop. And then I'll tell you what I like, what I don't like, and if I think this router's for you or if you should go another route. Maybe a better option, may not. Let's find out. Now in the package you do get the router itself with a fixed base. You also get the plunge base, which, you know, first glance, first impression, not that bad. We'll find out how it works. You also get some dust collection style adapters as well as an edge guide, which is awesome because not every router I've purchased recently, hello Makita, had an edge guide included. You also get a couple of bits, kind of an odd selection of bits. It's a 1/4 by 1/4 straight bit and then a 3/8 inch straight bit. I guess if you need that, it's all right, but I'm not sure why they threw those in. They could probably just knock off another $5 and leave those out, or $1, or probably not even $5, probably 50 cents. This is a brush tool, which most all corded tools are brushed. It does come with a couple of extra brushes, just in case you need those, and it does have a USR manual. I think it's supposed to be user manual. At the time of this video, you can get this complete setup for about 56 bucks on Amazon, which is not bad if this is a good router. Overall, first impressions out of the box, it looks nice. It does. Like sometimes you get a cheaper tool or a more budget-friendly tool in, and it looks poorly done. This one doesn't. I mean, the casing looks nice, it fits nice in the hand, and the adjustments are quite nice. Well, we'll go over the features right now. All right, this is a variable speed router, which is fantastic. We love that. Lower speeds, bigger the bit, higher speeds, the less diameter of the bit. Overall, nice little flip switch there for power on and off, and then your variable speed is right there on top. It does have an adjustable fixed base. You can see it is gear driven, similar to the Milwaukee Rigid Ryobi lines that have that, but a little different here. This is a smidge loose. I will tighten this up. I like that to be a little more snug, but it shouldn't be a problem. Just tighten that nut. Base slides on and off easily. Overall, not bad. And should you need to change out the brushes, you can access those there with a flathead screwdriver. Now this does come with 2 wrenches that'll help you change out the bit. I'm just gonna throw in this white side roundover bit. I actually bought this in a 4-pack of the most popular bits. This is one I recommend the most. It has a roundover, a chamfer, and 2 flush trim bits. Fantastic deal. It's just less than $100, but these are some of the best bits I've ever used. I always recommend that pack if you're just starting out. Now, one thing I did notice when changing this bit is this wrench. It actually doesn't quite fit the nut there. It works, but it is a millimeter off. So there's that. We do have this available on the store, 731woodworks.com. It's just a router bit tray. Hold your bits, your wrenches, a caliper, and a couple of 1/2-inch shank bits, or your post for your router table. If you're interested, check that out. It's made out of walnut. All right, let's power it on. First, see what it's gonna do. Soft start. I like that. It's also not overly loud. A lot of times your routers are louder tools. We did have it on the lower setting. We'll bump that all the way up to the highest setting and see how it starts up. So that's why it was quiet. It's on the lowest speed. Spins down fairly quickly. No bit break on there, but I like the soft start on these type tools. It's a nice feeling little router. I'm excited to see how it performs. On the plunge base, it doesn't really matter. Sometimes these routers with plunge bases have a specific way they have to go in there. From what I can tell, this will fit and or go in this base any which way you really want. You just slide that in, then you'll lock it down with the same clamp style piece there. I'm kind of surprised at how this feels. The fit and finish of this router for $55, $56. Like I'm kind of impressed. We'll have to see how it performs overall, but the way it fits in the hand, the way it feels, I'm not mad at this, y'all. Not mad at it. This adjustable base, or the plunge base, actually has an adjustable thing on the side. I was like, what is that for? It's actually to give you a little extra guide rail or edge guide distance there with this, because this will only allow it to go so far, and then you can connect it here And that's going to give you some extra distance so you can get a little further away from the edge using this base. I haven't seen one like this. I'm sure they're out there, but I thought that was quite interesting that they went this route. It does look very useful. So now not only can I adjust this piece in and out that goes through the router, we can stretch that out there, tighten 2 thumb screws down to lock that in place. We can also adjust this one in and out here, and it gives us a really nice travel distance for the edge guide. Quite interesting. Then of course you can remove it all together and just use the plunge base. We have a turret style stop system here on the plunge base where you can adjust this in a bunch of different ways. You have 3 that you can preset. One thing I kind of find odd about this one is it's just screws with a set nut. You can adjust those at any distance you want. I like the way DeWalt as well as Bosch done theirs. It's literally a hard set stop at 1/8 inch increments, if I'm not mistaken. This one you're gonna have to set up yourself, but it also has a fine tuning knob here where you just turn this knob, and that's going to allow you to fine tune that in any measurement you want, honestly. You can just get that exactly where you want it. It's okay, I like it all right. This is a little sloppy, I think, done. And also I worry that with the vibration, these may back out over time. I would absolutely make sure you tighten these nuts up so that things don't move on you. Tighten them in the down position, that is. It also has this knob on the side that lets you lock this in. When you tighten that up, this will not turn anymore. That's a good thing. It won't allow it to vibrate loose, so I like that part of it. Another nicety to have here on the plunge base is this knob. This will lock it in place. So if you wanted to plunge that down to a certain depth, of course we've got a round over bit in there, we'll put a straight bit, but then you can just use this thumb switch, lock that in, and it's going to stay exactly at that depth. And then when you're ready for it to come up, you just let that go. Bosch's work a little different. I really like how Bosch's work. The Milwaukee cordless router works quite different. I like it too. This one works good though. I don't mind this at all. It's pretty intuitive, I guess you could say. The only thing about the plunge feature that I don't understand is this thing. Like it just has random numbers on there and it just randomly rotates. So there's no real reason why that's there. Overall, the feel of the handles in the hand is nice. It fits the hand really nice. One thing I didn't care for on the Bosch was, Bosch is a nicer router, there's no doubt, but the handles on the fixed base was a little awkward. I really like the fixed base or the plunge base handles on the Bosch, but the DeWalt I didn't care for. This one just feels right. It just feels right in the hand. I like it. There's nothing left to do other than see how this thing's going to perform. We're going to do some edge profiles like what would normally be used on this style router. This is a 1 1/4 horsepower router according to their specs. Whatever that means. It may not mean nothing. But we're going to use this on a edge profile, so roundovers and chamfers, and then we'll do some straight cuts to see how powerful it is. That'll really give us a true test. I've also went ahead and put the dust collection boot on there. Pretty simple, one knob. It doesn't lock in place like it should. Typically those will kind of snap into that hole. This doesn't, so it's kind of loosey-goosey there. All right, let's see what it'll do on the edge profile. I highly recommend some dust masks. This is my favorite, it's RZ mask. If you don't have one, pick one up. Link in the description. For edge profiles, I put a chamfer on this piece of walnut. No problem at all. I mean, it's just what you would expect out of a trim router. Didn't bog down. It did a really good job. Of course, bits make a huge difference. That's why I always recommend these better bits. I personally think that if you spend a little extra on the bits, you'll be more pleased even with the less expensive router. Nice smooth finish. It didn't bog, it didn't do anything wrong. Dust collection works fairly well. Edge profile is very hard to get dust collection on anyway because half the bit is basically all of the chips are coming out the outside, not through the dust port like a through cut. As far as the edge profile goes, on the fixed base, same complaint I have with the Makita routers. I wish this base was a little bigger. Word has it, fat base routers make the world go round. I think there's a song about that or something. These make, if you just had a bigger base, it keeps it from trying to tip over when you're going around corners and things. It just makes it handle better. That's why you see Flex, even Ryobi, Rigid, Milwaukee, all the other ones have those bigger bases, or at least one that has like a square side and a round side. That lets you get a little more stable on there to make those cuts. I really wish that was on there. If this was on there, I would rank it a little higher. But overall, I'm not mad at this router for $55-ish at the time of this filming, even if it was like 60. I don't know what the normal price is. I think it was on sale for like 5% off or something. But this is a good solid router for edge profiles. Now, will it perform well on dados or grooves, etc.? Well, let's find out. I've got a straight bit in here, a pretty good size one. I think this is about a 1/2 inch straight bit. I'll double check that. I've got the turret set so that we can plunge about a 1/4 inch in, and then we will plunge down to about a 1/2 inch in, and then we will plunge all the way down to about 3/4 of an inch. And we'll see how this thing performs. I think a smaller router like this, especially like a 1 1/4 horsepower, 1 horsepower, you do absolutely want to take small bites if you're making a groove. It just helps your router out, it helps the bit out, and it cuts cleaner, better, more awesome. Small bites. So using the plunge base, I thought it worked very nice. I was able to make this little groove right in the middle of this piece of maple. I did try both the first, second, and third settings here. The first setting was about an 1/8 inch deep, which was about right. That's about what you want to cut, and then you can step down as you need a deeper hole there. So I did do the 1/8 first. I did try, which was the next step, a 1/4 inch, and then almost a 1/2, between 3/8 and a 1/2 inch there for the full plunge depth. Of course, you could do that deeper. It didn't struggle on the first two, but on the full plunge, I wouldn't call it struggling, but you could hear the motor start getting a little taxed. So just be aware of that, but that's not a normal application. Typically, you're going to take those in smaller bites anyway. But for plunging, it did a very good job. The edge guide worked extremely well. Dust collection, I didn't even hook that up. I just let it fly to see what would happen. But overall, I'm very impressed with how it performed. Now, are there better options out there? You can see I have several here in front of me. I probably should just do a router roundup at some point. I've got so many in the shop that I've been using over the last several years, some newer than others, some I grab more than others. There is a very comparable model to this Vevor model. This is just a Makita 1 horsepower trim router. This is a very, very, very good router. It's also around $100, give or take a few dollars. So that is about $40 more expensive, and you don't get the plunge base with it. It is variable speed, it does have the very similar adjustments, but this adjustment is better for the depth. There's a little knob that really helps you dial that in a little better. I wish that the Vevor had that on there, but it don't. But this is $100, and you don't get the plunge base. So if the plunge base is important to you, the Vevor may be the way to go. Vevor, however you want to say it. So which router should you pick, and is this router right for you? Well, at this price point, if you need a fixed base and a plunge base, you can do both, and you're a beginner and or on a budget, or you just need a kind of a router that's less expensive than some of your other ones to do some dirty work, I absolutely pick this thing up. It's really nice for the price. 60 bucks for all of this? I can't believe it's this price. I really can't. I think that they could charge more for this, but they're not. So grab it if you want it. Now, is there something better? Again, the Makita, I like it better. It's got a couple of kind of quirks. If you want a plunge base, like if you're just gonna buy once, cry once type thing, I highly recommend the DeWalt DW618. I'll link to this one in the description, as well as the Bosch 1617, depending on which one you want. They're both corded, so you don't have to worry about batteries. They're both very good. I do like the plunge base on the Bosch better, and I like the fixed base on the DeWalt better. So it just depends on what you're gonna be using more. They're both extremely good routers. They're also north of $200 most of the time, but they are 2 1/4 horsepower, so they're gonna have plenty of power to do anything that probably you want. As far as cordless goes, just pick the one that, if you're already on a battery platform, just pick that one up. It's honestly easier, and all of these are good little routers, honestly. If I'm picking one, I don't have any cordless tools, I want to get cordless tools. Which ones do you recommend as far as routers go? I grab the Milwaukee every single time. I like the Milwaukee M18 trim router. It's a fantastic router. And now they have a cordless big router, 2 1/4 horsepower router. I've done a review on it as well. It's fantastic as far as it goes, but it is pricey. So if that factors into you, I wouldn't recommend going with Milwaukee. Typically, like the Ryobis work well. This Makita actually works well. Again, it does have the smaller base though. Flex, rigid, it really doesn't matter. DeWalt, they all make really good routers. Just depends on what battery platform you're on or you're gonna go with. But I prefer Milwaukee, but that's just me. What makes me excited about these kind of tools is because when I first started, I had zero budget. Literally borrowed some tools to get started, and then as I was trying to scale up and get different tools to do different things like routers to do edge profiles, something like this would have been amazing to be able to get for less than $60, to be able to do the work that I was wanting to do without spending a whole bunch of money to break the bank. Because honestly, when you're on a budget, you don't want to spend a couple $100s. At $60 or less, this is a fantastic little option. And honestly, I like the orange color. just looks good. If you'd like to check out this router or any of the things I show in this video, I'll link them in the description and the pinned comment to help you find them easier. If you're looking for another fantastic router option with a router table, you got to check out that skill right there. It's a fantastic little setup. Click that box, get you the big old virtual fist bump. Or I have a router basics video, how to use the router, which way are you supposed to route, bits, etc. Like if you kind of don't know all this stuff, it's a good video to check out to get you up to speed. Click in the box, makes me happy.